Welcome back to Sacred Cow Barbecue, everyone. I'm your host, Patricia Aiken, and it's my pleasure to say good evening to Deborah Sue Venetucci. I'm saying that right, aren't I, Deborah Sue?
Yes, good job.
All right, very good, thanks. Deborah Sue, we're trying to dial in Sarah Red Buck. That always sounds like such an Indian name, but it's Sarah Red, R-E-D-D. She was related to Dr. Red, the Blanding, Utah fiasco with the BMW murderous fiasco. And in that situation, we'd be happy to talk with her if we can get her here tonight. She was planning on being here. And so we just, you were at the federal court in Portland yesterday, Deborah Sue. What'd you see?
Correct. I've been, since the beginning, I've been to most of the court arraignments and hearings. I just see Judge Anna Brown with her biased behavior. She's very rude. She cuts off attorneys. I actually am trying to help Ken Medenbach because he's got 2 cases pending with the government against him. And he's asked 2 times for Judge Anna Brown to reveal the record of her oaths, not oath, but oaths. And I kind of caused some civil unrest yesterday by speaking out against her and asking her after him where we could find the records of her oath. I almost got kicked out of the courtroom.
And did they respond to you at all?
She said, I'm horrible at remembering verbatim what people say, but she pretty much told me to not talk, and that was my only warning, or I'd be kicked out of the gallery and out of the courthouse. When the marshals came up to me and told me to that was my warning, they tapped on my shoulder and said, "That is my warning." But she's just horrific. She sits there and says that it's a complex case, it's a difficult case, so she's going to make these adjustments, but only when it's in her favor. If it's in favor of, if it's going to help the defendants at all, she's like, I'm not going to treat this case any different than I would any other case. She's just rotten.
Oh yeah, but when it's it's a very complex case and we can't let anyone out. I mean, from what I understand, and maybe you may not know this, but I understand that the political prisoners there in Portland are still in solitary confinement.
Yeah, well, I've actually, I'm not proud of this, but I've been in that jail for my, a couple of DUIs I've got in my past, and they're downtown. Downtown is like the least desirable place to be. Inverness, you have more freedoms. Downtown, I think they're keeping Ammon and Ryan and Sean Anderson, David Fry, and Ken Medenbach, because if they got out to the general population, their word would spread like a wildfire because people are perceptive of it and receptive of it. I met with Cliven Bundy when he was in that jail, and they kept him downtown too. They don't want the word spread out of what's really going on in the world. Okay, so I think that's why.
So they've got that holding place right there at the federal courthouse with the Illuminati all-seeing eye etched on the front door. And then there's a facility called Inverness. And where is that from the court?
That's about a 20-minute drive. That's over in North Portland, off of Sandy Boulevard.
And that's where Jason Patrick's being held?
Yes, that's where a lot of these guys are. I went and visited with a few of the guys 2 Mondays ago, and Ryan Payne was kicked out of the big dorm, which holds like 70 different people in a wide open dorm. He was kicked out for fasting around Passover, I believe. Ryan Payne was, but him and John Ritzheimer were close to each other, so they were able to communicate a little bit.
But John Ritzheimer's been released.
Yeah, that was when John Ritzheimer was still in.
Okay, all right. And so what else did you observe in the courtroom yesterday? I know somebody mentioned something that Jason Patrick said some things.
Yes, I love him. I praise him for standing up to her. He said something about, are you going to continue your violence? Because she is very abrasive and she's flat out rude.
Okay.
She won't hear the...
Hold on. I've asked you, I don't think we've even talked about what this hearing was about. What was the official name of this hearing? What was it for? Do you know?
It's a management meeting that Judge Anna Brown ordered once a month, the first Wednesday of every month, to manage this complex case, as she calls it, when it works for her. So it's just a management meeting. Yesterday they were supposed to, according to the last month's management meeting, supposed to discuss lifting the contact order on the Discovery. I didn't hear barely a word spoke of that yesterday. And they were supposed to talk about that, and they're just a management meeting, and it's kind of confusing because so much goes on. But
so it's just
I heard
a little circus.
Yeah, and then afterwards, Sean Anderson called me from the jail, and after the court arraignment yesterday or the management meeting, and he said that the bailiffs or the marshals were mean yesterday. Normally, the guys look forward to this meeting because they all get to see each other, talk, and pray together. And yesterday they were mean, and Sean Anderson had asked one of the U.S. Marshals, didn't you take an oath to the Constitution? And the guy got rude with him and said, I took an oath to a lot of things. I'm a manhunter. And then Jason Patrick spoke up while they're in the holding thing to go back. And then I don't remember the exact words, but the marshal pretty much said something like, do you want your mother to be safe? And then they hauled Jason Patrick away from the group of men to a separate room, and then they brought him back. But his sister even vouched for that. That's what Sean Anderson told me. And he said that it was weird.
So what you're saying is they're taking people away if they actually try to stand up for their rights, and then they take them in a room and tell them how the cow ate the cabbage and what's going to happen to their family if they don't shut up?
That was the first time I've ever heard of that. Normally, they treat these guys really good and let them talk and pray and hug each other even, which is really unheard of. But yesterday, Sean Anderson reported to me that it was just horrible and all negative, and that mean behavior from the threatening abuse from the U.S. Marshal, the big redhead guy. I can't picture him, but we're going to look into that. But normally, even when I visited Clive Bundy when he was in Multnomah County Jail, he said that he was going to speak how nice the guards in Multnomah County treated him. But yesterday, he said it was just weird. And it was a weird vibe from the judge, too. It was bizarre yesterday. It was worse than ever.
We need to send some appropriate feedback to these folks. Deborah Sue, do you live in the Portland area?
I'm in Vancouver.
Okay.
I've made it to almost all the court hearings and arraignments because I want to see what's going on, and I know what they're doing is right and what the government is doing is wrong. So I've been observing ever since the first hearing after the boy was murdered.
Okay.
I've only a couple court hearings there.
Right, and so how well do you know Sarah Redbuck?
I just met her personally yesterday at the court hearing. She's awesome. Her and I have communicated through Facebook a lot since January. She's amazing. She left the courtroom in tears yesterday, just disgusted. She thought we were crazy, that we were just kind of making stuff up, and she even posted on Facebook today. She was like, I really thought you guys were crazy, but she saw it firsthand, and she was followed by marshals yesterday. It is insane.
Yeah, she was followed by, first she just thought it was one, and then it turned into 5. And when she confronted them and said, do you need help with something? And the guy said, oh, no, just doing my job. Followed the marshals, that they're following the supporters. What is the meaning of that? Hey, listen, hold on for just a second. I'm going to dial Thom Davis back in with us, and I'll try Sarah one more time, too, since we got to kind of interrupt things a little bit here. You're listening to Sacred Cow Barbecue on Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And I'm going to dial both these folks in and say add, see if we can get them. Thom should be home by now. He was just on his way home. And so you can follow with this, Deborah Sue.
Yes.
Since the end of the day, or did you follow the Bundy as well?
Hello.
Hey, Thom. I'd like you to meet Deborah Sue.
I got a phone ringing on to me.
Yeah, I know. That's how we're going to dial Sarah. I'm going to hang up from her in just a second. She's not getting us. We've got a misfire going on there, so I apologize to everyone. So, Thom, I'd like you to meet Deborah Sue Venetucci. She was at the court hearing and been at all of them in Portland when Ammon and Company are doing their case management meetings and in different hearings that they've had. And she's been talking to some of the inmates.
Hi, Thom.
Hello, how are you?
It's pretty
How y'all doing?
to tell you the truth. So, Tom, why don't you tell us? You had a meeting. There was a meeting in Harney County this week, was there? Am I get that right?
Well, it went on today. I was working, and I never got down there. But Steve Grasky is up there saying how wonderful life is in Harney County and patting himself on the back for doing such a great job. And then he's got that little Kennedy kid and that up there bragging about how great things are and everything and wonderful. And it's just kind of ridiculous. Jarvis Kennedy.
Yeah, and what's Jarvis Kennedy's role?
He is the speaker for the Burns Bayou.
Oh, isn't that interesting? So everybody's happy now?
Everybody's happy, wonderful. Life's going back to normal in Harney County, and it's a great big love fest.
Oh, well then Steve Grasky is back to being king.
And back to being king and back to the corruption.
Wow.
Not if we can help it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. Everybody that's happy and wonderful and having such great loving affair with each other are criminals. They've got arrest. Jarvis Kennedy's got an arrest record. I found out more. I'm digging up the information once I get it confirmed, and it's going to be brought out. But all these people, it's Grasky. He stole land from me. He's a criminal. There's more to him than meets the eye. I got to find out. He's got a house or something I heard in Sun Valley yesterday, so I'm going to try to find that out. Sun Valley, Idaho, if you know where that is.
Sure do.
It's upper scale.
So,
Aspen, Jackson Hole type of a city.
So, Tom, let me ask you this: how's the militarization of the town? Are all the military vehicles and the Apache helicopters and stuff, have they left the airport?
They left the airport. There was Dwayne, a friend of mine, seen 6 government rigs come into town, SUVs, and there was a report coming out of John Day Country, 15. They're still here. They're at the Wild Horse Corral, and they're over at the P Ranch. They're still here. I had them following me during the cat and mouse game. Next time I was just slam on my brakes and let them take me up the rear with their vehicle. Want to play that silly little game, let them hit me. I'm just tired of the game the FBI plays.
So
and they talk about it. No more threats in Harney County. That's one of the Steve Grasky speeches. That the militia was threatening people in Harney County, but we've proven that was wrong. We've got eyewitnesses now of it being wrong, of the FBI having one. They had an old beat-up Subaru, and they had coffee at this coffee house every morning, and they'd go around following people. Another was what the kids referred to as a pervert van, and they would follow the little girls around and sit outside the school and watch the kids in the schoolyard. And that came out the night Lavoie was killed from the airport in that convoy of 20 vehicles that headed down to the refuge. And the government and their lies. Oh, I am so tired of government lies. The corruption and the lying has got to stop. We're not anti-government. We're anti-corruption, anti-lies.
Yep. Somebody's hitting a key here. Who's doing that? I'm going to give you 50 lashes. I'm the only one that makes get bad noise on this show. So I know somehow somebody gets pressing a key or something. Tom, that's disgusting. Deborah Sue, I wanted to ask you something. At the end of the hearing yesterday, or the management meeting, they said something about changing venue. Do you want to share that with us?
Yeah, Sean Anderson called me 2 times. I had him call me back twice, or the second time, because we didn't have enough time. He called and said that Judge Anna Brown had mentioned changing the venue to California because they have plenty of room for them there. That's not set in stone. That's what. That's what Sean Anderson told me that she had suggested or mentioned.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I heard that too from Ryan Bundy's investigative team.
That they want to move it to California. What's in it for them?
California is a more liberal state.
They'll fly them.
You can outdo Oregon on liberal?
Yep.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh, yes.
And that's why when they talk about for jury selection, you think they're looking for liberal juries?
Yep.
Yeah. I think Oregon is so liberal from all the Californians that have moved up there.
Yeah.
For real. It wasn't this bad. I grew up in Oregon. It wasn't like this when I was growing up at all.
It's the Californians that come in and brought their stupid laws and rules with them from California they ran away from.
Yeah.
Yep. Amen.
Yeah, that's pretty famous. But it's got to be something the judiciary. I mean, they planned this to be in Portland because they had complete control of the judiciary. Well, they must feel like they own California too.
I think because of Lazaro, I think Judge Anna Brown looked like a train wreck when she walked in the room yesterday. I've never seen her look. She had bags on her eyes. She looked stressed out. I'm sorry, I don't wish ill on anybody, but I hope she's sweating it because she should not be on the stand presiding in front of this case, period. But so she looked stressed out yesterday, and her behaviors proved it.
Well, good.
Yep.
Yeah, Lazaro's really uncovered a bunch of stuff on her and her dealings.
Amen. Yep, a lot.
Yeah, not surprised. So Thom, there was some word on so-called picking up people in Harney County.
In Harney County. Last Wednesday or Thursday it was, I got it from a worker that works at the courthouse that was in a meeting. And it was supposed to be a fire protection meeting, and it turned out Dave Ward made a statement that within the next 30 days, they're going to be rounding up a bunch of people in Harney County. This is our judge that is being a puppet and played by Steve Grasty and the federal government, and they're running roughshod. Now they want to try to intimidate the people of Harney County by arresting them for speaking out against the corruption.
Yeah.
By being honest Americans.
And how have the ranchers reacted to that?
Not too good. Not too good. And well, I tell you what, Harney County is a utopia for Agenda 21. Harney County has a very small population and a large land mass. And Agenda 21 is to remove all the people from the land. And this, I believe, and that's my opinion, is that this is the start of Agenda 21. Why did they bring so many people here for murdering Lavoie and the Bundys? We had 700 or plus cops, feds, mercs, and all these other outfits that was here running around like crazy. Why was there so many? There's got to be one reason and one reason only. UN, Agenda 21, and they want to control the situation.
Yep, I agree 100%.
And then it goes back to the IMF. I'm sure that's involved, and so the UN are the arm of the IMF.
Yep. I think the UN should be kicked out of the United States, and I think the building destroyed and that whole complete outfit destroyed. I don't think UN has a place in this world. All they've done is destruction and corruption of the people of the world.
Well, they're just
rich,
part of
powerful men like Rothschild.
They're part of the communist takeover of the entire world.
Yep.
That's all it is.
Yep.
Wow. So
it's definitely New World Order. I believe that so wholeheartedly. They can't afford, the federal government can't afford to go protect our borders, but they can send that many men down to Harney County. Are you kidding me? That's my argument with a lot of these liberal people that are like, oh, they have guns. Well, it's just insane to me that people don't see what's really going on. It's just insane.
Well, they just now everybody they just want to preserve that land for future generations. You know that.
No, they want to preserve that land so nobody, this whole center of the United States, Mexico, and Canada, all the way to Alaska, is to be a no people zone.
Exactly.
Wild, and this utopian dream that these college idiots dream of that never did once exist in this country, and they're trying to build something out of it. Well, the elk and the deer in this area have multiplied because of one reason: the ranching and the farming, the water, the irrigation, the pastures, us taking care of their winter feed supply. You don't see them out on the desert. You see them down here on our haystacks. You see them on our meadows. You can see 2,000 to 4,000 head of elk running around on these meadows and that out here. And it's not because of this utopian dream. It's because of the agriculture. They come for the feed.
Oh, absolutely. You show me cattle, and I will show you endangered species flourishing.
Yes.
The cattle are. You're getting a lot of amens on Harney County as a utopia for Agenda 21. You're getting a lot of amens on that at Skype here, Thom.
Yeah. And that's the city people that live in their damn rat traps that dream of a utopian after they destroyed their country by paving it over, building concrete buildings, shoving themselves into a rat's nest. I always tell the people over there in Portland, whenever they say, how come you own so much land out there? How come the ranches are so big? I said, because your grandfathers are too damn lazy to stop and work and build a sweat. They ran to the cities and lived in the cities. Everybody's grand ancestors had a chance to ranch and farm and build a ranch or a farm, but instead they ran to cities.
Well, I can't totally agree with that, Thom, because of this, and because I know in the West that the banksters and the Eastern establishment were always fighting settlers. I mean, they weren't letting them cut down trees to build, a cabin. They've always been fighting people on the land. This is not a new situation. They've just ramped it up heavily. And so I think some people are driven up, just like in Scotland and Ireland with the land clearings, getting people off the land. That's why white men turned to piracy, because there was nothing left for them to do to provide for their lives.
Yeah.
And so they were driven into cities, a long time ago. So
I think nature takes care of itself. It's fine. I don't think they need the government. We don't need the government to control the turtles or the frogs or talking about shutting down some dams in the gorge too to save some fish. It's all bullcrap. Like, let nature take care of itself. Tonight I was on a walk with my kids on the Columbia River Trail, which I flagged for a while, and the government paid millions of dollars to put this erosion control thing out there. And I looked at it, I took pictures of it today. It's got some old trees that have fallen down in the roots, and they have it chained to the side somehow. They spent millions of dollars to do that to help the salmon. How is that worth $1 million? The salmon can totally take care of themselves. I think they make all this stuff up. I know they make all this stuff up just to scare people, and it's just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's crazy what I saw today. I never thought.
If you want to save the salmon, I have a marvel idea. Let's get rid of the gill nets every 100 feet up the Columbia River from Portland on up to Spokane, Seattle. There's gill nets. The Indians place gill nets every 100 feet up the Columbia on both sides of the bank. And then some of those fish got rot. They get drunk and they don't check, like Silo Falls. They get drunk and forget to check their nets for 2-3 weeks.
No.
And let's get rid of those gill nets. If the tribes want to fish, you go back to your native way of fishing on a stand with a pole and a net on the pole.
Yeah.
You sustain yourself then, sustain yourself now. But now it's a commercial business. But they're allowed to do it. They're allowed to take thousands and thousands of salmon a year. And they say it's part of their treaty. No, your treaty was a sustainable living. not a commercial business. That's my opinion.
I guess they continue to buy those people off. So what's so speaking of so-called native tribes, what's going on with the Paiutes? I mean, they're fat and happy now that they've got their $40 million to build their casino.
No, they're still whining about the art. Now, I've got some interesting facts I just found out. When they built the refuge back in the buildings, the CC Corp, the CC dug up 7 or 8 skeletal remains of Native Americans. And they dug up artifacts when they built those buildings and disturbed artifacts. But nothing was said by the Paiutes. They did not say nothing. They did not have a fit. Then in the 80s, after the flood, in front of Andy Dunbar House, they built the road, reestablished that road that was flooded all out. They dug up some artifacts and some skeletal remains, and they just put them over into the ditch and covered them up with mud. And that. Where was the Paiutes? There was no outcry in the 80s. Then you had Crumble Reservoir built. They took Crumble Reservoir Road through an old settlement of Native American settlement, and with a D9 cap pushed up pestos, bowls, scrapers, everything, arrowheads, and just destroyed them, and they never stopped doing work, and they just continued on. Where was the outrage from the Paiutes?
Well,
I remember.
It's obviously selective outrage when they're being paid to be outraged.
Yes, yeah. And you know, the government was asked that day down there, a friend of mine asked the government, his own words, when they were doing Crumble Reservoir, what would you do if I was to be out there pushing up artifacts and everything? The government said, we would shut you down right now. He said, then why are you doing it? Because we're above the law.
Exactly.
And it goes back to exactly what they said in that search and seizures of those vehicles. In paragraph 1, statement E, they are to search and seize any artifacts found that belongs to the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge and or the federal government. I never once in that whole statement seen anything mention of the Burns Paiute tribe. And that was by Catherine Armstrong. That was in that search and seizure by Catherine Armstrong. Signed by Judge, I think it was Stewart or Seward, something like that, judge. I'd have to look at the judge again, but
and
she was just in a
Armstrong is the FBI special agent who's also, she's the badge and the bar card, right?
Yep.
Okay.
She's the one that's in love with Ritzhammer. They always talk about John Ritzhammer. Like she has a fancy about him. You read what they call in their warrant for arrest, which is not a warrant for arrest. All it was a criminal complaint. And this Catherine Armstrong is sitting there, and all she keeps mentioning is John Ritzhammer. John Ritzhammer. And it's like, girl, you in love with him or something? You got some fantasy? Nah, it's just kind of weird. But that was a criminal complaint. They never had a warrant for their arrest till 5 hours after they killed Lavoie and captured Ammon and that. They were detained at the OFP setting.
Go ahead, Deborah. What are you saying?
I've been saying that just off personal opinion from the beginning, and I have facts to prove that. There are indictments that are whited out at the case number, and then date stamped, and then the signature doesn't match the date stamp date.
Yep.
They did not. That's why they sat on the side of the road for 5 hours. I fully believe that, and it is provable. It is totally in black and white. They didn't have a warrant.
Talked with Shauna and several of the other defendants. That's exactly what happened. They had no warrant. They were detained, and as the Oregon State Police said, the murderers themselves, they were detained. How can you detain people for 5 hours and have no warrant to kill people?
Yep.
There's so many illegal activities that happen here, but yet we have Secretary of Interior coming down here, and all the OSB and Kate Brown and everybody patting Dave Ward on the head like a good little puppy dog. You did such a wonderful job. You're our hero. You have Harney County people running around, our heroes. Yeah, he needs a bodyguard. So what good is a sheriff that needs a bodyguard?
I know.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Actually, let's rephrase that. They are not bodyguards. They are handlers. There's a big difference between bodyguards and handlers. Bodyguards are to protect and defend you. A handler is to keep you quiet, and if you step out of line, to take care of you.
That would make more sense. Yeah.
And that's Dave Ward's own words. They're his handlers.
So he has been recorded as calling them handlers, Thom?
I don't know if he's been recorded, but I got that from people at the courthouse.
Wow.
There's people at the courthouse pissed off about this whole thing, and they're finally starting to come out.
This corruption goes into Grant County. My friends are starting to look at Grant County now, too. There's major corruption, and they got a lockdown on the industries down there, and I don't know it fully yet what it is, but there's a big mess of all over down there. And I don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
It just spreads. My friends are looking into it now, and Lazaro is one of them. And there's a team of people. That's all we do all day long is try and figure out what the truth is.
What the real agenda is here.
Yep.
So let me ask you this. So in Grant County, is Sheriff Glenn Palmer holding his own right now? I know it's an election year. They're trying to out him. They hate him. How's he doing?
He's being tormented.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
He's struggling.
Okay, hold on. One at a time here. Thom, what do you say?
He's holding his own, but there's a lot. That whatever his name is, the Oregonian newspaper reporter, and his wife. His wife is the one that wrote that lie about Sheriff Palmer being down there at that scene. That was written by that wife.
Scotta Callister.
Scotta Callister, right.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There you go. Go ahead.
All right, Deborah Sue.
Oh, I was going to say the same thing. He's being tormented. And like you said, that lady towards John Ritzheimer, that's how Scotta Callister and Les Zape are towards Glenn Palmer. They got their hand in this pie, too. They're just as corrupt as any of the appointed judges or commissioners or sheriffs. It'll all come out.
Hey, can you answer one question? Okay, I was sitting there watching a video of those idiot four digging that hole. There was a fifth man that was there, a cameraman, that walked out away from him. Also, if you look in that video, there's a white pickup, government rig, driving by watching them. I thought nobody was allowed in there. I thought they were, as you would say, being held tight. But yet you have movement of vehicles going by them. You have people walking around.
Yeah, I asked Sean Anderson and Sandy Anderson about that, and David Fry. They did have a guy that was down there doing a documentary, and they said that they did give them talent slips, which is still confusing to me. But there was other people down there that handed them talent slips for this, which is very confusing because I also have a friend that lives down in Harney County that said those are different booms on the tractor. They're not the same as the ones that are at the resource center. So I'm really confused about all that too.
You ain't the only one. I'm sitting there watching. They're saying Ryan kid is the one that dug the holes or something like that.
Yeah.
Is he an excavator operator?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because whoever dug the hole knew how to handle it. And whoever was handling that piece of equipment that day, when I was watching that video, was pretty smooth with his flow. In that he wasn't jerking like most amateurs would be jerking. The hole is pretty level bottom.
Yeah, they got to find out who produced that video. That is a really interesting observation.
Yeah, I'm going to go visit all these guys this weekend.
Okay, you watch it. 5.23 seconds. You'll see a white pickup coming from the left, going to the right. east to west. White four-door pickup. Refuge pickup. But what is he doing up in driving through there like that?
Yeah. I think there's a fake video out, and I think there's a real video. That's the only thing that I can make sense of. It doesn't make sense to me, that whole deal right there. But they all do admit to having talent slips handed to them. And I'm like, I asked David Fry when I visited him last week or the week before. I said, what is up with the talent slips? And he goes, oh. And I said, why did somebody run and shut off the live stream? He's like, I don't know. I don't remember that part. So I don't know if somebody made a fake video acting like that was them. I don't know. It's just too weird. I don't get any of that part of it.
Yeah.
Could you ask him one question? I've got David Fry's car here. But could you ask him, David Fry, one question? Did the FBI or a representative like the Oregonian of the FBI tell them what to do?
Okay.
Were they directed what to do?
I will.
Because if they were directed to do whatever, then that is showing you that this whole thing was a setup by the FBI. We have a sheriff's deputy that's at that first meeting where Ammon says, okay, today we're going. And then he disappears. We have the sheriff and his deputies meeting with Jason Patrick and got, as the sheriff's deputy's wife told me, got the ball rolling. We have the sheriff calling down there to the Narrows and telling them at the Narrows there's a big group of men coming, do not call 911. Because if you call 911, then that put it into the county jurisdiction. And the sheriff wanted it into the federal. So we have Carges going, telling his people go on vacation for a few weeks, and we will call you when to return, in his own words. And then we have him going down there the day before and unlocking the doors and stealing government paperwork out of a government building, government computers. What is he hiding? And leaving his keys on the desk. We have pictures of the keys being left on the desk.
Yeah. David Fry pointed out something very important. He said, oh, sorry, I interrupted. David Fry pointed out that while they were there at the very beginning of the peaceful protest, as I call it, that a BLM employee or a person that worked at that resource center, an employee came there, a lady came there to get her personal effects. That's huge. She was allowed and welcome to come there to get her stuff. That's not impeding.
Yes. Would that be?
There's no impeding.
Was that Winnick girl? Was that Winnick girl? Jesse Winnick?
I don't know. David Fry said
David Fry
said to figure out. Sorry. I was talking over you.
Oh, go ahead.
No, what did you say?
I said, okay, we got Jess Winnick on the 9th, went down there and retrieved all personal items at the refuge, and then was ushered to Portland by the FBI. After he went to the refuge to get his personal equipment. We have U.S. Fish and Game coming down on the 5th in a pickup and standing there talking with Ammon and Ryan down in the grounds and visiting with them.
Yeah.
We have FBI that was undercover down there and was known to be FBI.
Yeah.
There was no threat. There was no threat to any of them.
Exactly.
So where did they come up with this? That they stopped them from going to work.
Yeah.
Interfering with the execution of.
Well, the people that stopped him from going to work sent him on vacation. That's one thing that really, impedes productivity at work is being sent on vacation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I wanted so badly yesterday. I was biting my tongue. I did speak out against the judge, but I wanted to speak out a lot more. Believe that. I want to say, because all these are bunk charges. We all know that. Where is the victim? There is no victim. The U.S. government cannot be a victim. Nobody hurt them. Nobody, it's not a case. I just can't even believe it's happening. There's no victim. Yep. If there's no victim, there's no crime.
Well, The state likes to, as a corporate entity, these people like to say that they're the victim, and they've given And that's where they've given corporations the same rights as individuals. And that's the whole corporate nonsense that statutory Talmudic, law has brought into this thing. It's ugly. It's ugly.
Yep.
So Thom, I'm glad you're doing okay. Who else do we know? Anybody else we know that's been picked up there according to what's going on? I'm kind of interested here. They've got Jerry DeLamus is here in Henderson right now, and we're going to see him if we want to. But we heard his wife was here or about to be here, so we don't like to take up people's visitor time because they only get 2 visitors a week for 20 minutes each. Is that the same situation, Deborah Sue, in Portland?
Unless you're at Inverness. But yes, it's true. 2 20-minute visits or a half-hour visit if you're at the Multnomah County Justice Center, as they call it. But if you're at Inverness, you can get online, look up Multnomah County Jail visiting, and just Google those words, and it'll pop up a securist. And you can do visits from across the state with these guys. You just need to know their inmate number. And I think they could have 3 a week or 3 a day. I'm not positive, but they get a lot more video time visits out at Inverness. They have a lot more freedom in Inverness.
Well, I wonder why they haven't moved anybody over there. More people over there. Jason Patrick. Because their words and what they're doing will spread like a wildfire, and the government will be shut down. People are very accepting of what they're doing. People, even the guards at Multnomah County Jail, are saying we agree that you guys are getting screwed, and so they don't want their word being spread out because they are treating them this way strategically because they have strong, powerful voices. And I met one of Ammon's cellmates that was in jail with him, and he came out a different person from meeting Ammon. I mean, it gives me goosebumps to hear him talk about Ammon and how he changed his life and he felt like it was from God. And everybody is really receptive to what they are doing because what they are doing is right, period. And so that's why I believe they don't move them out to Inverness, because they'll spread the word and it will go out of the jail to these families, and the families will talk to their friends and family, and they'll be done. That's my personal opinion.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Yep.
I agree with you. Can I ask one question?
Ask 10.
I heard today that Harry Reid said now that the Bundy men are gone, let's get the ranch. Let's take the ranch.
I heard that.
President Obama.
I heard that on Facebook too.
Why is not Harry Reid in jail for killing tortoises, 2,500 endangered species? God, if we killed one, we'd be sentencing our life in jail. Why is he not in jail? Why is he not in jail for selling? Everybody says public land. It is not public land, people. It's federal land. We do not own the land. We, the people, do not own it. It is owned by the corporation, the United States government. That's just what they always heard on the news. Ammon Bundy and those guys took over the federal buildings and the federal refuge. It's federal land. It is owned by the federal government. Hunters, fishermen, big game hunters, bird hunters, all you people better wake up, because they will come after you for trespassing and hunting on federal land. BLM, Oregon State, all this crap they will call federal land, and they will lock you up for being an armed terrorist on the federal land. The time is coming, and it will happen.
And what about Clive and Carol Bundy's cattle? The sheriff down in Clark County told the BLM, do not go get them at calving season, but they did anyways, and they shot cows from the helicopters and did big burials.
These 3 mass graves full of cattle. Yeah, just terrible. Okay, so we live in opposite land. We know
where was PETA?
Constitutionalists are evil.
Yep.
Now constitutionalists are being demonized. And that's why they've got armored trucks against us, because we have weapons and ammunition. So that's what's wrong there. Okay, and then it's that this conspiracy going on. Ammon was, committing a conspiracy, and yet the conspiracy is completely from the government and all these criminally insane politicians.
Amen.
Yes.
It's we live in opposite land. Everything that they're saying is backwards.
I've been saying that for 5 years. I'm like, everything seems backwards. I've been saying that for 5 years. And I've been waiting for this day for 26 years, since I was 14 years old, for somebody to stand up against the government, the corruption and the police state and the guns being aimed at us and being killed. I've been waiting. I get goosebumps over that too. When I saw the Bundys in 2014, I'm standing in my living room just going, woohoo, look at these guys. Because, I mean, look at the brave stand. This is brave what they've done. And I will die for this cause. I really will. I will go to jail for this cause.
The interesting thing about 2 years ago, it'll be on the second anniversary of that next week. The interesting thing was that the Bundys never called anyone for help. They only prayed. 3,000 people showed up from all over the country.
That gives me goosebumps. Watching the standoff at the wash is like me hearing the national anthem. I get the same emotions. My throat closes to hold back emotions. That is beautiful. Watching that.
Yeah, they're paying a heavy price right now with the Bundy men in jail. Them threatening Arden and all these other good family men. I mean, I cried when I met with Eric Parker yesterday. You know, it's just heartbreaking to see good people behind bars like this. And, you know, I'm just going to throw out my spiritual kind of neuroscience on this. You know, we're told that what we resist persists. And so I think we need to put out what we want and, you know, and say freedom and justice for all is what we want. And we want justice for the criminals as well. You know, we want justice for everyone. And so I think that needs to be our focus, what we want, and stop resisting what we don't want. And it's a really fine line distinction, you know, to be able to talk about this and not be brought down spiritually and emotionally, because that's what they want. They want us in fear. They want us in disgust and anger, because that just lowers our vibration. When we have to remember, and, you know, to hear, you know, that these men love America and they love the people of America, and that's why they didn't do it just for the Bundy Ranch. That it's more, it's much bigger than the Bundy Ranch. It's bigger than the Bundys. It's about America.
I give them goosebumps.
Yep.
It's so true. I have a 13-year-old that wears buttons, all the buttons, and he goes to the rallies, and he's waking up people to this. He rode the city bus home from school the other day, and the bus driver was just cussing mad. She's like, I just can't believe what's going on. Today we talked on the bus with some guy, and I couldn't believe how awake he was. My son's regular bus driver is probably going to attend the rallies. Teachers from his school are hearing him and listening and learning from my 13-year-old about this. I'm really proud of him. I think this is really good versus evil, and I think it's a bigger than it is. I think it's a bigger spiritual thing than we know.
Yeah,
also.
I think so. I think you're right, Deborah Sue. Deborah Sue, let me ask you, how was David Fry? He was very fragile and messed up those last, you know, couple of days.
Yeah. And I listened to him in court the other day, and was very disappointed that he didn't make release. When I visit with him, he is funny. I feel like I've known all these guys a million years. The only person I've had a hard time that's not very, like, not like me. Like, I'm very sociable. Ryan Payne is the only one that's kind of like, very serious. I'm far from serious. But David Fry is hilarious, and we laugh so hard when we meet there at the jail. And I can't even share with you what we talk about because it's so gross, and I have a gross sense of humor, but he's so funny. He seems good when I talk to him. And
that you're reaching out to these men, Deborah Sue, that's just a wonderful thing to do, to show them support. And Thom, keep up the good fight. We're coming up on the end of the hour, but I want you to talk about your blog that you and Renee Powers are doing.
We're doing the Cowboy and the Lady. Matter of fact, Jarvis Kennedy even posted our site on his great page when he was bragging about some New York reporter coming from New York Times, and he was patting himself on the back and for being such a great man. But I have one question to criminals. Don't pat yourself too hard and don't call people liars. whenever facts are there and facts will be revealed. And Jarvis Kennedy, you've set a vendetta against me by some comments you made about me. And prove your facts, and I will prove mine, and we'll see who is a criminal and who is a nobody. I'm not out here for glory. I'm not out here for fame. I'm out here to free our political prisoners, as I asked Greg Walden at a meeting last week. It is time that we free our political prisoners. We fly all over this world, our president, talking about political prisoners when we have them here in this country.
Oh, I know. He's such a lover of freedom. That was disgusting, that speech.
Yeah. And that's all I'm out for, is to free our political prisoners. I don't want fame. I have no need for fame. I'm myself. I'm just a plain man, a simple man.
What did Congressman Walden have to say? Because he came out very weak on behalf of the Hammonds. And you asked him some questions point blank last week. What were those questions? And take us up to the end of the hour on that, Thom. And Deborah Sue, thank you so much for being available tonight. We run out of time here. I know we're coming up on it pretty quick. I really appreciate everything that you're doing, especially visiting the prisoners and being a support to them. Thank you so much.
Yes, Deborah Sue. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Now, coming up. So, Thom, what did the good congressman have to say?
Okay, first of all, I started the question with, I pointed to Sheriff Wolf of Mulhare County, and then I pointed over to Representative Cliff Vance. I said, it's time we stop demonizing the Bundys. If it wasn't for the Bundys, we would not be here talking. The Bundys have started the communication throughout the world, and it's time we recognize this. And then I looked at him, and Mr. Greg Walden, we have our president flying to North Korea, China, Russia, everywhere, talking about freeing political prisoners. Yet we have political prisoners here with the Bundys and members of the Bundys and other people that have stood up to stand for the Constitution. The Constitution that Merkley and Wyden, Greg Wyden, has called a virus. We are not a virus. We are free, loving Americans that stand for the United States and stands for good government. We are not anti-government. We are against corrupt government. The corruption is what we stand against. Mr. Walden, where do you stand? Do you stand on the side of the Constitution, or are you like rest of the politicians in the United States and over in Washington, D.C., that give lip service to the Constitution? If you stand for the Constitution, tell us now, and tell us how you will defend the Constitution with your life if that is required. And that's where I left it.
And what did he say?
First of all, he was shocked. I did bring up that Dave Ward was going to round up his constituents in Harney County. And was he going to let his constituency be rounded up like cattle? And he was shocked. He shot his eyes from both Vance and Wolf and then back straight at me. And he says, I stand for the Constitution. I will fight for the Constitution. And I will stand on every moral fiber of my body to defend the Constitution. I said, and then, Mr. Walden, it's time we stand together and we free our political prisoners that are good constitutional men and women. And that's about where it ended.
Wow.
But he was shocked. And then we gave him 700 pages of notes written by the BLM Interior Department and Refuge with personal notes on there that would make your blood boil, reading the personal notes about how they were going to destroy the Hammonds. And we passed all 700 pages to him to read.
Okay, well, Thom Davis, always great to have you on, and thanks for the update and all the work that you and Renee are doing at thank you.
You bet. Y'all have a good one.